All right, good morning. Hope everybody's staying warm today. I wanted to do a brief video today. Shouldn't be too long. Usually the first day of the semester, I like to kind of outline what second semester looks like, because usually there's some questions about timings of chapters and AP exam stuff. So I'm going to go briefly over that, but then we'll kind of, if you do have some questions, we can talk about it in class. And then we're going to start chapter 8 today, but it's just going to be just kind of a brief overview, a little intro. So being it's a virtual day today, these 2 days will be a little bit longer, so we try to get through this because I'm gone Friday. So Friday will be a textbook homework work day. All right, so first semester was all descriptive statistics. So it was describing distributions, it was finding probabilities. Second semester is all inference. So inference meaning we're gonna be talking about, okay, if we have a sample, how can we do some different procedures to try to estimate something about a larger population? Chapter 8 is confidence intervals. So this week we'll do 8.1, 8.2, Texas Homework Workday Friday. Next week we'll finish things up and do a short test on Friday. Really the questions on the AP exam that come up from chapters 8 and 9, they can kind of be tied together. So I think it's better this year. I'm going to try to kind of tie these two chapters better together. So we'll take a little bit more time in chapter 9 and try to tie these together, like working on chapter 8 and 9 Frappies, kind of combining those together. So chapter 8 about 2 weeks. For me, it's a quick turnaround with the Navy. So 2 weeks from now, I'm gone again. So when we start chapter 9, you'll have another textbook homework workday. About third week of February, we'll have a chapter 9 test. So the chapter 8 tests will be together, both multiple choice and free response on the same day. Chapter 9, we're going to split them up. A little bit more content there, a little bit longer. Chapter 10 is kind of a combination of chapters 8 and 9. So it's going to be really important we have a solid foundation with chapter 8, chapter 9, to kind of feed into chapter 10. So chapter 10 pretty much take us up to conferences. Then right after chapter 10, so around March 7th, that's when you'll start to get your AP exam review books that I've been putting together. So the idea then is that after chapter 10, these chapters come up a little bit less on the AP exam. So the homework load is much less than you've had this year so far. So the idea is you got the AP exam review book March 7th, and then each of these days, after you do a couple problems from that day's stuff, you should have time left still, is you pull out your exam review book and you do a few problems each day. We've seen a lot more success with that, kind of reviewing a little bit each day, and then we'll get to review time at the end. The exam scores are a little bit better. So through chapter 10, chapter 11 is kind of around conferences. Chapter 3 is usually one of the easier chapters for students, so it kind of lines up well that I've gone for most of that chapter for that week. But that'll be videos and I'll be able to answer questions. Plenty of time when I come back to answer questions before a test. So that's through March. And then after chapter 3, we only have one chapter left, which would be chapter 12. So we'll finish out chapter 12, and then by April 9th, from April 9th on out through the rest of the school year till the AP exam on May 8th, will be time to work on the review book, and it'll be different kind of targeted review activities. Also around this time, we'll get you some exact dates, but myself, Mr. West, and Ms. Tiggis, we usually offer 3 different times outside of school that you can come in and you can sit down and take a full-length practice exam. So the 90 minutes for the multiple choice, the 90 minutes for the free response, and then I'll score it out. It is super beneficial because you can see, okay, I'm really good with this stuff, I need to work on these chapters. You can really then focus what you need to review on leading up to the exam. It can also be a confidence booster that, hey, I know a lot of stuff already, I got a 4, or it's a, hey, I need to review quite a bit because I got a 1 or a 2. So highly suggest you take the time for the practice exam. Usually we offer one on a Saturday morning. We offer one on a Monday, usually right after school, and then we'll offer one Wednesday kind of later in the evening. So we try to offer three different days, 3 different times, so that you can try and make one of those. We'll talk about that more in class. So April 9th, we're done with content. We'll start to work on some review book stuff. Throughout that review time, I'll throw in some different targeted review things. So we'll have like a specific probability review, a calculator review, an inference review of some second semester stuff. Go over kind of what I think is going to be on the exam, some tips and tricks, some do's and don'ts to bring, some exam reminders, and then it'll be exam week. So your exam this year is May 8th at 8 a.m. at UD. We'll talk about more later. So just a little brief overview of second semester there. All right, so a little intro to chapter 8. Again, no homework problems to do this. You don't have the homework packets. So for this, I would just ask that you kind of pay attention and think about it. And then if you do have a question on it, ask it tomorrow in class. Or shoot me an email. All right, so estimating with confidence. So creating confidence intervals. So a point estimator. A point estimator is a statistic, so a number from a sample that provides an estimate of a population parameter, so a number that's describing a population. That value of the statistic from the sample is called the point estimate. So the ideal point estimator will have no bias and low variability. Okay, so remember, bias meaning if the population parameter was here, we would want the estimator to be on that population parameter, right? If it's off of that population parameter, that means it has bias. And we want low variability, meaning the sample estimates should be kind of centered around this population parameter. We wouldn't want one way over here, one way over here. We want low variability. All right, so we're just going to go through a couple real quick examples. We're just going to identify the point estimator. So makers of a new golf ball want to estimate the median distance. So they want to estimate the median distance. That's the number, the population number they want to know. That the new balls will travel when hit by a mechanical driver. They select a random sample of 10 balls, measure the distance each ball travels after being hit by the mechanical driver. So here are the distances in yards. So these are the sample distances. So if we want to estimate like the population median distance, we would probably want to use the sample median distance. So you could arrange them from lowest to highest and start crossing things off, or you could throw these into L1 and use one of our stats. Either way, but you'd want to get the sample median of that, of 285 yards. You use the sample median to estimate the population median. All right, golf ball manufacturer. They also would like to investigate the variability of the distance traveled by the golf balls by estimating the interquartile range. So again, if they want to know the population interquartile range, we would estimate that by getting the sample interquartile range. So if we had put those numbers into L1 on one of our stats, we would have had Q3 and Q1. So Q3 minus Q1, so 287 minus 284, so a sample IQR of 3 yards. Okay. Last one. Math department wants to know what proportion of its students own a graphing calculator. So they take a random sample of 100 students, find that 28 own a graphing calculator. Well, if the math department wants to know the proportion of all the students that own a graphing calculator, so we're talking about proportions now. So that would be like P, the population proportion. And then when we go and take a random sample of 100 students, find that 28 own a graphing calculator, this is coming from the sample, which means that would be P hat. So we're using P hat to estimate P. So point estimate here, P hat, 28 out of 100, or 0.28. Okay. All right, hopefully that was just a little intro. We'll get way more into it tomorrow in person. I didn't want to get into a whole long lesson with you not having the notes packet, so you lucked out there. All right, enjoy your cold day. If you do have any questions about that little lesson there, or if you have questions about second semester, I'll probably be sitting at my desk bored out of my mind because I finished your exam review answer key already. So if you got questions, shoot me an email. Have a good day.